Welcome to the Intuitive Rising podcast. I'm your host, Amy Brooks. This is a podcast that invites you to remember who you are, return to yourself, and rise into your highest and best soul self. Every week, I will be sharing inspiring conversations about topics that hold keys to your awakening. My mission as an international evidential psychic medium, Reiki practitioner, and intuitive mentor is to help you rise into who you were born to be. Enjoy the show. Hello, welcome back. Happy 2025. Welcome back to another episode of the Intuitive Rising podcast. I am your host, Amy Brooks. So grateful to be here with you on this beautiful, sunny January day. I wanted to come on and first of all say happy season 3. This is season 3 as of right now. Yesterday, from the day I'm recording this, was January 23rd. Which is significant, number one, because it was the 7th anniversary of my father's sudden passing that occurred in January of 2018. So it's been 7 years since that event happened and since he passed away unexpectedly and suddenly. And then with that loss and that experience and, the things that happened after that, very soon after that, that really was the awakening of the medium, the psychic inside of me, the connection to spirit that had always been there, but just lay dormant a little bit, misunderstood and misused maybe. And so it just, it was significant because of that. And that was a really big day, obviously. And yesterday on the 7th anniversary, I did just kind of take it easy on my heart and was gentle with myself and didn't push myself too hard, allowed any emotions that came forward to come forward and to be felt. I had a few messages from people that felt as if, they kind of got little spirit signs for me from my dad, which was lovely. And it was also the 2-year anniversary of the launch of this podcast. So I chose the date, January 23rd, back in 2023, because of the significance, of the date, but also that I felt like my father was pushing me to share my voice. And it was something, I've wanted to have a podcast for, I guess you could probably say my whole life. I've always wanted to share my voice. Way back at one point, if you had asked me what I want to be when I grow up, I would have said a author, absolutely, / maybe a little bit of a broadcaster, a radio personality, somebody that shared their voice. That was always a part of what I wanted to do, which was interesting because I've also always been somebody that struggled with trusting when to share my voice. I would overthink what I would say, and does anybody actually care? Are they listening? Do I sound stupid? I always worried about those things, but I also was always pulled towards them, nudged towards them, and now I know that that's how our spirit and our soul work. They are always pushing us, nudging us, encouraging us to do the things that, make us pause to think for a minute, that make us curious, that make us feel excited, but sometimes a little bit nervous. Like, I don't know why I want to do this, but I do, but I'm also afraid to do it. It's often, very often, those things that are exactly what we came here to do. So, in a roundabout way, I guess what I'm saying is don't get discouraged if you feel nervous or fearful about what it is that you want to do, because I feel like that is the fuel that feeds the fire within you. I really, really do. So, happy 2-year anniversary to this podcast, season 3. I have so many ideas for season 3 and so many exciting, fun things on the horizon. Season 2 had a really good start. There's a lot of episodes, weekly episodes, really in the flow. And then took a little bit of a purposeful pause come the summer of 2020.
in the fall of 2024, and I shared why. I truly had a lot going on, but also I felt like I should take a pause, and I am learning to trust that voice even more. I know I sit in a position of privilege to be able to be my own boss. However, from this place that I share with you, it's really important that we find a flow within ourselves where we can, right? So it's about within, reason for you in your life. It's about allowing yourself to take a purposeful pause around certain things if that's what you need to do, but also being very mindful about asking yourself, is this avoidance? Is this fear? Is this procrastination? Or is this really a purposeful pause? And I'm just feeling called to take a break from it. Lean into that, okay? Ask yourself those questions. That's where you're going to find the answers to your questions around that. And for me, as a generator in human design, I know that I'm here to respond to life. I'm here to respond to the things that make me feel a buzz in some way, or, I feel curious about, or intrigued by, or excited by. And those are the things that I'm here to follow. And so they come by way of opportunities from other people, signs and synchronicities, just an idea or download, a dream that I may have, a feeling in my physical body. All of those things are things to respond to and to listen to. So I just want you to think about how you are responding to life and to give yourself some grace. If there's something in your life you feel like you want to press pause on for a moment, and you've sat with it and you feel like it's the right thing to do, I want you to give yourself permission to do so if you can. So for me, when I checked in, it wasn't necessarily that I, didn't want to do a podcast. It wasn't necessarily that I was avoiding recording episodes. I still recorded episodes. I definitely always brought you the energy of every month, and as well as a few others trickled in there. But I just didn't feel like talking. And I felt like if I sat here and I talked, it would be forced, which is the opposite of how I wanted to feel. And that is the opposite, pardon me, of how I work with spirit as well. There's no force involved whatsoever. It's just a place of receiving and surrender and flow. And so now I'm finding anything that feels forced to be like intolerable. Nope, not doing that. It's force. And so I just give you that as an explanation as to why I've been a little quiet. But the beauty of that, it seems like that was almost like my winter season. And the beauty of that and embracing a cyclical kind of way of life is that then when the timing is right, man, look out, because here you go, right? So I'm feeling much more motivated from where I sit now to talk and to share. There's no force. It feels good. And so here we are. Speaking of force and trusting the timing and a cyclical way of being, that's something that I did want to talk to you about today, in about like trusting the timing in your life. And so I will bring forth a few different examples of how that's been showing up for me lately. Apologies, I feel like I have a tickle in my throat. Sorry about that. So, number one, I have been hearing a lot lately about this concept of time and how a lot of us are feeling kind of like all over the bat is what I hear. Impatience, frustration, stress, anxiety around time and the timing of things. We want things to happen. We want them to happen now. Or we don't want certain things to happen. We want to get to the good stuff. We want to get to what we want, which is human nature, okay? So give yourself a break. Don't judge yourself for that. But also know that that's not really how the world at large works. It's how we've been taught that it works in our society. It's how we've been taught. We want something, we got to go after it. And yes, that is true. We do need to go after something if we want it. However, we need to find balance with allowing things to happen when they happen, right? So it's something that's been on my mind a lot over the course of the last few years is how many times, like when I reflected earlier about how many times I had held myself back, how many times that because I wasn't able to trust in the timing of things, I would take something not happening yet to be a no, or I shouldn't do this, not meant for me. When I had the excitement, I had the inquisitiveness and the curiousness and the that buzz around certain things. So I know that that means that that is right. But then when the things in your life aren't like what you're working towards, whatever those things are, and they're not happening quick enough, we can anticipate that to mean that it just not going to happen ever, which is not the right thing to do. And I think that if you just hold it in your mind that the things that give you that buzz, that make you feel excited about it, that make you want to live, that make you feel excited about each day, that make you want to wake up in the morning, those things will always be meant for you. And by turning our back on them because they haven't happened yet, or in the order that we want, is a tragedy. It's a tragedy to the soul that you didn't just trust a moment, just pause a moment and trust that if you're feeling that way about it, it will come. Be patient. Be patient. Okay? So this reminds me of a conversation that I had very recently with a listener, but also a client of mine, who now is embracing her own mediumship, and she is doing mediumship readings here and there for people. And I'm so proud of her that she is doing that and that she is trusting the process. But she was telling me recently how she had signed up for some sort of, I don't know if it was like a master class or a course, unsure, but with, another spiritual practitioner. And that there was some things that was taught, and they were taught in a way of, this is something we must do. Say for instance, in order to connect to the spirit world, we should be meditating, right? Maybe we should be meditating for a certain amount of time. And while I believe in the power of meditation, and I know that that is helpful for so many people, including myself from time to time, I know that that works and is needed for some people, and for some people, it's not. And so when things are taught and presented as in, you must do this, you have to do it, it can get a little confusing at times. Now, somebody who is a professional psychic medium, I can tell you there is no absolute way to connect to the spirit world. And what I mean by that is there is no just one set way. When a teacher is teaching you, they are teaching you the ways in which either they were taught or the ways that work for themselves. And I think what's important about this topic is that we need to trust when we are working with the spirit world intentionally and wanting to do that work, and wanting to, even if it's for ourselves individually, as we move about our day and our life and just wanting to live more of an intuitive life. We need to trust in how things work for us, so we can take the instruction and we can try it and we can practice it, but ultimately we need to trust in what works best for us. And so this client and listener was sharing that she has noticed that when she kind of just sets her intention and does a reading or does something kind of high vibe before, like I do. I usually have music blasting. Sometimes I'm bobbing along in my chair. Sometimes I get up and I do a little dance, or I sing at the top of my lungs. This is how I raise my vibration so that when I connect to the spirit world, I'm already up here. And so she is noticed when she does those kind of similar things. The results and the feedback of the mediumship readings that she's doing are fantastic. She feels in flow. She feels accurate with the evidence that she's bringing through. She feels that the person's like, yes, wow, yes, you are correct. The times that she has spent a lot of time sitting in the power has caused for her, I almost wonder if when she's in that for longer than she needs to be, she begins overthinking. I do wonder that, because the feedback that she had given me is when I do it as I was instructed to do and told that this is how it should be and must be, I don't feel as in flow. I feel a bit removed. I don't feel like I am as accurate in some way, or I feel it just doesn't flow the same way. It doesn't feel as good. It feels like the client can take less of it. And so she was just sharing this with me because she knows how I work. And I had just shared with her, I think the lesson in this is to trust yourself. You can be taught, and I'm sure you were taught well. However, there is no one way to connect to the spirit world. There is examples of how. There is instructions on how this can work for one person or for many people. But ultimately, you just have to kind of move with how it works best for you. And you do that with practice and trial and error. And that's what I did all by my lonesome 6 years ago when I was working with my mediumship. And so there was that. And so I feel like that's just a lesson in trust and trusting that spirit works through us in individual ways. And so we mustn't, put ourselves in a box in any way in life, but especially not when we're trying to connect to our spirit, to our intuition, because that is the opposite of what the intuition is, right? The ego is that likes the little shiny box. The intuition is the box and everything outside of the box and everything that's inside of the box. It cannot be boxed in. So I wanted to share that with you because I feel like there are other people out there that definitely probably are putting a lot of pressure on themselves that something has to be a certain way, look a certain way, but they have more luck when they do it their way. And I think that's just a general statement in life, whether we're talking about mediumship, psychic connection, or life in general. You know what's best for you and how things work for you. And I think that's really what this new era, this new age that we are in is trying to teach us. It's, hey, like society has boxed us in. We're all the same, or we're not all the same, but we feel like we should be to some degree. And we are taught, educated and raised that this is the way things are, yet it isn't, because we all are having individual experiences of life and come to the table with different gifts and skills and challenges, etc. So I feel like that's really where we're moving towards, but I wanted to give the example of this client's experience with her own mediumship and intuitive connection. I also want to talk about just like trusting the timing. I did kind of talk about it a little bit at the beginning when we talked about taking a purposeful pause with my podcast and not forcing and not pushing through all the time, because that would feel very unaligned to me, right? It would feel very unaligned. And I'm noticing the longer I'm on this journey of self, the more intolerable it is to be unaligned. It's like trying to fit a, a square peg in a round hole. Like it just doesn't work anymore. It becomes more and more and more intolerable. I am excited when I talk about trusting the process and trusting the timing, because I am trusting the timing around some of the things in my own life right now. So for years, I've been asked about teaching, creating a mediumship course, creating an intuitive guidance course. I took a poll in my Instagram stories. I think it was before Christmas, probably mid-December. And I had asked the question, would you be interested in learning from me? Yes or no? And the next slide was, would you be more interested in learning about mediumship, learning about intuitive connection, right? Intuitive guidance. And yeah, it was overwhelmingly yes, I would like to be taught by you. And secondly, it was about 50-50 between mediumship and intuitive guidance. And so those are things that after many, many years of being asked, hey, do you teach? I feel like you're my teacher. I'm finally ready to do. I'm trusting the timing. I feel like it's much more aligned with who I am right now and what kind of teacher I want to be, which, by the way, if you haven't figured it out yet, is going to be very, very in-depth, very personal, but also very open-minded. I know there's not just one way. So it's probably going to be very in-depth on every kind of way that could, and a whole lot of practice, while being with me and in a group of very like-minded individuals as yourself. So that's something that I feel aligned with and that I'm going to bite the bullet on in 2025. So stay tuned for that. I'm so, so excited. I know that many of you will be signing up as students of mine, and I can't wait. Secondly, one thing that I have felt nervous and fearful about over the years is doing in-person events. And I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. I do know why. I say I don't know why. I do. It's like, I feel like it's the fear of putting myself out there and it not working, in the sense that, like, I trust the spirit world indefinitely. I trust the spirit world so much. Like, I know that I can sit down and say, okay, spirit, I'm ready to connect, and that they will be there without fail and come through and give evidence of that for the people that sit before me. There is no worry. I have no worries whatsoever when I sit down to do readings, and there's no preparation really, other than a couple deep breaths. Okay, this is what my intention is. This is what we're doing tonight. Okay, let's go. That's it. And it's become so beautiful and so easeful, and it just feels easy, and that feels like alignment. However, despite that, and despite the evidence that I have that, I could do a great job, I think that people would be happy. I have this fear of, what if I go to the lengths of creating something, paying for a space, booking for a space, organizing the whole darn thing, telling everybody about it, and nobody shows up? What if it's a big flop? And, I've asked myself, okay, so could that be true? Who knows? It could be true. I mean, sometimes things are flops, not necessarily it's not an indication of if something's good or not. It can be a timing thing. It can be you didn't advertise enough, people didn't know about you, etc. But the answer to that question, when I asked my spirit, well, could that be true, was, it could be, it could be. However, as a further question, what evidence do you have that it would be? You're trusting in a worry that it will be that way versus a feeling that it will not be that way, when either could be true. So why not look at the evidence of, I don't have any evidence to feel that that would be true, and why not lean into hope? And so I have reached out to a local place here that I visited for the first time in December, once for a like an event. They had like a holiday kind of event outside, and then I also booked a stay there for my husband's birthday, which was the week before New Year's and the week after Christmas, that in between week. We went there as a family and had a great time. And it is like a wilderness place where there is cabins and places to stay, but there's also trails and hiking and biking and all kinds of fun things. And they have this big, huge yurt, and it is used, pardon me, it can be used rather for events and for things like yoga. They have yoga there, and I am definitely going to sign up and go for a yoga class there, because that's something that my higher self really wants to do this year, is to get into yoga. I bought myself a yoga mat and a block and a little, like a carrying thing, and I'm really excited. I got to do it. Putting all those yoga pants to use, since I just wear them every day anyways. And yeah, I'm going to do that. But also, you can book an event there. And it's beautiful. It's in the woods. It's very peaceful and calm, but it's like a 5-minute drive to town. It's very close. There's amenities around, it's not like out in the true wilderness. It's wilderness in a town. And yeah, I reached out and they would be happy to host an event there. So or allow me to host an event there. So that's exciting. So that's like the hardest part down then, is finding a place to hold an event. So I'm going to go ahead and look into the spring to do my very first live event. Now, I am very seasoned in doing online events. I have done many, many, many of those over the last 6 years, but doing something in person will be completely new for me. So that, yes, there's a little bit of nerves, of course, but there's more excitement and there's more of that buzz, as I spoke about. And it feels like the timing is right. It feels like the timing is right. So stay tuned. If you are somebody that lives local to me on the east coast of Canada, if you live in Nova Scotia, I'm going to be doing a live event. My intuition tells me May, so I think I'm going to look into May. Pardon me, once again. I'm thinking maybe around Mother's Day. We'll see how things work out with the timing, but that is happening. It's one of those things that I'm just going to have to do and then like worry about later. It's one of those, just going to bite the bullet, like put down the deposit and book the place and then go, well, I got to do it now. That's often how that's often how I work. Just in general with things, I kind of just have to force myself and then I'm good. Then I'm okay. It's just getting through the hurdle of the initial worry and anxiety. So that's exciting. That's an example also of trusting the timing. I didn't force myself to do it before I was ready, but I was also very conscious of the fact that, it's kind of one of those things like, when are you ever going to be ready? So it's feeling into it all. And I definitely feel like I'm at a place now where I can do that. And also a place where I trust myself to teach and to mentor other people. So I'm ready to do that as well. So those are really exciting updates on the docket. Couple more things I want to share with you. One is about some visitations that I have had recently with clients' loved ones. And so, off the time, like in my personal time or when I'm sleeping and I have a dream about them versus like doing a reading for them. So back a couple of months ago, I feel like I may have shared this here, but a few months ago, I had a dream about a client's husband who is in the spirit world. And, I was sitting with the client. I was sitting with her. We were sitting under a tree together on a hill. Colors were so, so vivid. And I had a sketch pad on my lap and a pencil, and I was sketching things, which is not something I do in this lifetime, really. I like to doodle and things like that, but I wouldn't call myself an artist by any means. My two of my children have inherited that in a big way, and they are incredible artists. They sketch and draw and paint and create like nobody's business, but that did not come from me. Anyhow, I was sketching in this dream. I was sketching. I was channeling through sketching. So I was connecting to her spouse who was in the spirit world, but I was sketching his messages out. And so I shared this with her. And I said, I feel like ultimately what the message here was, that there are so many ways to connect with him. There's so many ways that he shares things with you. And then there was some very specific ways in which even the sketching made a lot of sense for her, but also that bigger picture message of that was really, really important for her, and validating for her. And so, it's interesting when I dream about people that I don't know personally, but I've connected to in the spirit world before for their loved ones. Another that has happened very recently actually would be with a lovely lady who actually used to follow me, and on social media. I always would see her name on my Instagram, when I put out a story, and if I clicked on who saw the story, her name was always there. And two of her children had readings with me, and she used to watch if I did events and things like that, where she would watch the readings. And she didn't ever have a personal reading with me, but was really kind of fascinated with the process. And her children have shared with me that she really respected the work that I did, and was interested in me as a person, and as a medium, despite any maybe sort of apprehensions to have a reading herself. She was open-minded to the process, just a little nervous maybe to have a reading herself. But she passed away very recently, like this month in January, after an illness. And she'd been sick for a little bit. And, soon after this happened, when one of her children told me, as we become friends, I immediately had the feeling that her mom was with me. Oh, I got goosebumps as I said that. Big old goosebumps. And so I just shared, I checked in. Is this okay that I share this with you? So I knew she was open, but I also know, hey, this is happened a few days ago. So, let's be kind here and check in, and have compassion. And so I asked her, okay, yes, shared with her some things that I just was feeling in the moment with her, all which made a lot of sense for her, and made her feel a sense of peace that her mom was okay and had made it to the spirit realm, and was checking in via me for her. And one of the things that she shared with me was one of the ways in which she would kind of show up for her kids, for her loved ones that she'd left behind, in a spirit sign. And so I shared, this is the way that she leaves me in this moment. She's showing me this. And her daughter said to me, my goodness, okay, so my other sister had asked her a lot of questions about spirit signs and things like that, and how are you going to show up when you come back? And she didn't answer, but she answered through me in that moment of a way that she would show up, and how her children can recognize is a spirit sign. So that was beautiful and lovely. And then just the other day, I had a dream about her. And so I had a dream that myself and my friend, her daughter, were sitting together here in my house on my couch. I live in the east coast of Canada. She lives in Ontario, where I used to live. And we were sitting together, and we were talking about plans for her mom. Things to do like celebration of life, memorial, things to do with her remains, things like that. And we were having this conversation together, and she was in the stream, she was her mom was in the spirit realm, and I could feel her mom in the spirit realm in the stream, hovering as I spoke with her daughter. And she was just bringing up things like, I know the plans that you're making. I know the discussions that you're having. I know the things that you're doing. And that brought such immense peace when I shared that with her children, because they wanted to, they want to know, number one, that, yeah, she's around, but number two, that she's approving, she's okay with the things that are happening and are in the works and are planned out. And then I had mentioned, it's interesting that you were on my couch in my home. And she said, yeah, the interesting thing is, although she didn't have any direct connection to Nova Scotia, she wants some of her remains to be sprinkled in Nova Scotia. So she will be making her way here. And she said maybe that was Mom's way of showing that, I was going to make my way there and that we would maybe be together, meet up at some point. And I thought that was so beautiful, so beautiful. And it makes me feel so humbled that, loved ones in spirit that aren't connected to me in a direct way, meaning they're not my loved ones, that they trust me to come through to me and to share those things with their children. It just brings me immense peace that they do that she does that, and that she would want that message to be shared. And so to you, her daughters, who I know listen to this podcast, I know everybody listening will share in this sentiment. We are truly so sorry about your mom's passing to the spirit world. And we hold space for you, and we're sending you lots of love and healing. Lots of love and healing. And I know your mom I know that comes through from your mom as well, that she is sending lots of love and healing your way. Lastly, speaking of love and healing, I want to briefly talk. Oh, I just looked down. I've been recording for 36 minutes and 36 seconds. So we'll hold on to those numbers. 36, maybe they're significant to somebody listening. Okay, 3636. I got a message this morning from someone that I haven't heard from in maybe a year. And she sent me the most amazing message, and I'm going to read it to you with her permission. I'm going to give you a little backstory first, though. So I have done multiple, I feel 2, maybe 3 readings with her over the years. A mediumship one, as well as intuitive guidance. And we've connected to loved ones of hers. And I'll never, one thing it's funny how, people pop into your mind and different things pop into your mind, because she popped into my mind just the other day, even though we haven't spoken in a year. And then, then she reached out to share this today. So, it's just kind of example of precognition, right? Being on the same wavelength and knowing when somebody's kind of thinking about you and you're thinking about them at the same time. I was thinking about something that she told me the last time we connected. We connected to her father in the spirit world. And she had been with him at the time of his passing, and they had talked about things including mediumship and including, the afterlife and things like that. And this, if memory serves, this was a religious man. And one thing that she shared with me was that he had said to her, I believe that there are some people that God has given the gift of mediumship to, and I believe there are some people that can connect to angels and to loved ones in spirit, and I believe that Amy is one of those people, because she had shared some things with him that I had told her before in previous readings. And so I that just randomly popped into my head a few days ago, thinking about that. And then she reached out with a message today. And I want to share that message with you, giving you a little bit more backstory as well. So she had come to me multiple times. One of the things that I knew that she struggled with was her deep desire to be a parent in this lifetime. Really wanted to be a mom, but had a series of 5 years of losses and heartaches, and was truly giving up hope on ever becoming a parent in this lifetime, having her own baby and becoming a mom. Really don't think, I felt it within her. I felt the resistance of like, it's not going to happen. I felt it within her. But anytime I connected to that topic, even before it was presented as a question or a desire, like the first time I connect to her, where I know nothing about her life, I knew that this was something that was a part of the journey, and that was something that would happen for her. And I knew it was. I knew in my bones. I would bet money on the fact that she would become a mother in this lifetime. I knew it, even though we had all this evidence through loss after loss after loss of it not being true. But I knew it. And so the last time I spoke to her was I feel it was 2 years ago was the last time we had a reading. And okay, so that's your backstory. I'm going to read the message. Hi, Amy. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. Nearly 2 years ago, I had a reading with you, and we were talking about my husband and I trying to have a baby after a 5-year-long journey of trying to conceive with many losses. I was truly ready to give up, ready to radically blow up my life and go find happiness somehow, somewhere. But you told me that a little male voice said to you, I am coming. And I had so much hope from hearing that I went ahead and I did IVF. This holiday season, I was a mom of a little boy. I didn't think I would ever be this happy and grateful. I love him beyond anything I have ever loved. Thank you so much for telling me that my journey was not over. I truly would have given up elsewise. Thank you with all of my heart. What a way to start your morning, receiving an email like that. This is an example of trusting the timing of your life, of holding on to hope and belief. And I can't tell you how moved I was and I am by this. This is not the first time that I have connected with a spirit baby that was hovering and saying, I'm coming in. You just wait. I'm coming. Don't give up hope. There have been quite a few times where I've connected to people that have been on the trying to conceive journey and were losing hope. And I told them, no, there's one coming. Don't give up. And then that baby was born. That has happened many times. But this person has been through so much heartache and so much loss, both with, the journey to motherhood and losing babies through miscarriage, but also with her loved ones. So many loved ones have passed, and I could just feel this renewed sense of hope and joy and warmth. And she sent me pictures, and my goodness, she's got the glow. She looks like a different person. She's just beaming. There's so much joy coming from her. This just gave me warmth. I got the warm fuzzies, absolutely. And I'm so thrilled. I'm truly thrilled for her. But when I hear something like, I truly would not have done this. I would not have continued on the journey and kept trying. I would have left everything and discarded this dream and given up. But I didn't, because you told me not to. It's not lost on me how monumental that is and how important that is. to use this connection to the spirit world for the good, right? And to keep people hopeful and faithful, and so that they don't miss out on what's meant for them. Which brings us full circle to what we started talking about, which is, you can't really miss out on what's meant for you. Just because something hasn't happened yet does not mean that it won't. Do you have this deep desire? Do you have that buzz? Do you have this yearning and curiosity and inquisitiveness, and you just know that that is what's meant for you, and you just want that so bad? That wouldn't be placed in your heart, wouldn't be placed in your soul if it was not possible. It would not be placed there. We all have different dreams for a reason, because what's possible for us is different. I read a quote just yesterday that I think is a good conclusion to this episode, and it was, you want what you want because your higher self already has it. That's why the desire's there. That's why the yearning's there, because some version of you already has it. So that version of you is saying, please, please don't give up. Please don't give up. Keep going. What's meant for you will find you. What's in your heart is meant for you. So don't give up. Lots of love. See you next time.
If you have enjoyed this episode, please consider hopping on over to wherever you listen to your podcast and giving it a 5-star review. Thank you so much in advance. If you'd like to keep in touch, please head over to my website, theintuitiverising.com, to keep up with all the things that I have been doing. I also have a private Facebook community for people just like you. It's called the Intuitive Rising Community. All you gotta do is request to join, and I will let you in. Keep rising.